I want to welcome each and every one of you to the Nonprofit Show. We are coming up on our 300th episode soon. Super excited for that, and super excited to have the continued support by each and every one of these presenting sponsors that you see right in front of you on the screen. So please do go find them online. They're very easy to find, and give them some love, like, follow, all that good stuff. And if you've been following any of our sponsors lately, Boardable, you might have seen, went viral with his space dog. So that was super cool and fun to see the space dog of Jeb Banner. So anyway, check that out, because, if you know, you know. Julia Patrick, thank you for having us, CEO of the American Nonprofit Academy. I'm Jarrett Ransom, as I reach for my glasses, also the nonprofit nerd. I'll have to send you a pair, Samantha. Most of the YNPN Phoenix members already have a pair, so I'm going to send you a pair there. But CEO of the Raven Group, and this week has been chocked full with so many amazing guests, so many amazing voices across our nation. And next week is, going to be even bigger, even greater as we continue towards our 300th episode. But today, I am so thrilled to announce and to invite Samantha. Oh gosh, here we go. Alari Lika. Did I get that right?
Alari Lika.
Alari Lika. I told you.
Practice.
Samantha Alari Lika, Director of Customer Success, and one amazing rock star who's joining us today from Boardable. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm really excited to connect with another nonprofit nerd.
It's, Samantha, it's really cool because we were getting ready on our chitty chat, and I just have to witness to everybody. You recognized Jarrett's name. You're still on the national board, or you just rolled off of YNPN?
I just rolled off after 4 years of service with the national YNPN board. And really amazing experience that I'll speak to today. Yeah.
Tell us about YNPN really quickly before we ask you more about Boardable.
YNPN is the Young Nonprofit Professionals Network. Been around for over 20 years. It's one of the largest capacity building organizations in the nonprofit sector, and it's completely volunteer run. Investing in the next generation of young nonprofit leaders, and those who are working in just the social sector in general. The mission is to build a diverse and powerful social sector.
Love it. Love it.
Wow,
what a great representative you are for them.
Yeah.
So, yay team. Okay, well, we didn't even know about that. We had no idea. We're not surprised, having chatted with you. But more importantly, we wanted to talk to you about recruiting board members virtually. And in the chitty chat, Jarrett mentioned, the number of nonprofits that she's been talking with that are like, board cultivation, it's just stopped because we can't do it during the pandemic. And then, her whole thing is like, no way, lean in. There are things you can be doing. Mm-hmm. Don't let this time lapse. And so we can't wait to hear what you have to say about that. In the context of Boardable and being a board portal that we highly love and recommend, talk to us about what you're seeing. I mean, are you hearing the same things?
Yeah, it's interesting. If we think back a year ago, folks were just figuring out how to do that first virtual board meeting, right? And I talked to a lot of folks who, a year ago, board members, one particular board member that comes to mind, had more board meetings in a month and engaged more with their board than they had in like the prior year. So I actually think it's the best time to be recruiting for board members, both in terms of we see and hear from a lot of organizations that they're going to be continuing with a virtual or a hybrid format. So there's opportunities to engage individuals that may not have been able to serve on your board before, but also to be mindful that your existing board may be perhaps experiencing burnout, or just we've all coped with so much in the past year, right? So a lot of organizations are right now thinking about rebuilding and re-energizing their boards.
Yeah. I
That is so
love that.
critical. Yeah, it's really critical. And, I did, and I shared that in the Chitty Chat session, that so many organizations were like, well, we can't meet right now. So clearly we can't develop our board. And I was like,
Mm,
I disagree, wholeheartedly disagree. And as a proud disruptive innovator, right, I clearly spoke my voice on that, because now is the time to lean in. And now is the time when there are so many people actively engaging through altruistic actions. That is a lot of
mhm.
words to say together, but actively engaging through that. I warned you guys, I had my coffee, is really, people are looking for where they can serve. People are looking to do more good in the world. Yeah.
And we need it. We need it right now more than ever.
Yeah.
We really do. Okay, so when we talk about recruiting board members virtually, I think we can all agree that, yeah, we need to be doing it, and yay team, but this is the reality. How do we do it? And so you have some strategies for us today. You have 5 strategies. So hit us with number 1.
Well, number one is not really different than what you might have done before. It is to really take a step back and understand, why are you looking for board members right now? Because most important, more than anything else, is to find that mutual fit, that mutual passion, and that skill set that's going to really help your organization or perspective. That's going to help you meet your mission, your mission right now in this moment. So I would just kind of ask yourself, are you looking to fill a specific role? Are you looking to get some dynamic next gen energy on the board? Are you looking for an accountant? And keep in mind that an accountant does not always want to be your board treasurer. So
Right.
be upfront about that too. I do think this is a really important time to be asking yourself if you need to increase the diversity of backgrounds and perspectives on your board, and become more representative of the community that you're seeking to serve. And it can be really helpful to have a specific kind of small group on the board that is tasked with thinking about this year round and identifying your needs, your blind spots, ways that you might be becoming more productive and effective as a board.
Yeah. And I love that you acknowledge the fact, Samantha, that just because someone is a CPA does not mean they want to be your treasurer. Just because I'm a fundraising consultant does not mean that I want to be your development committee chair.
Right.
That's really important, because I think all of us, many of us, are also looking at ways to, diversify our own skill sets and talents. And that is a great way to do it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And just being really introspective and clear about that up front, I think, is so important, especially recruiting virtually, because it is easy to kind of disengage as a new board member if there are those mismatched expectations.
Right. Absolutely. We've done a couple episodes on assessments for boards specifically in the DEI realm, and kind of like, it's not just about ethnicity, but it's socioeconomics, it's language, it's region. I mean, it goes well beyond just the physical appearance of one another. We have to look at what, as you mentioned, these skill sets are. So we talk about, then again, keeping on with recruiting board members virtually. Lead us to your second strategy, Samantha.
Yeah, absolutely. So number 2 is to lean into the virtual and hybrid world that we're living in, and to share upfront how and where you're meeting. And so certainly a big fan of board portals. You mentioned earlier Spotlight, which is a great hybrid meeting tool, but I think that can really help set some expectations and be a way to build that more diverse and inclusive board. So folks that you were saying who maybe have some mobility needs that couldn't have engaged previously, to increase racial diversity, geographic diversity, you can now perhaps bring folks, thought leaders from a broader region or even national thought leaders. So I do think it is kind of like, if in job postings now we're saying currently remote, right? In board recruiting, we should be saying currently remote or remote flexible moving forward, to really, again, help brought in that group of folks and brought in that network of folks.
What a great professional tip, because you're right. We have seen so many remote from now, job postings. I know Katie with Staffing Boutique does that all the time. And I just love seeing that clarity, and to move that into the board meeting space and, into the language, I think is so wonderful as well, because it describes your clear expectations, right? And that's really, as I heard you say, Samantha, really critical in the beginning of the onboarding, or even the recruiting, really is what we're talking about, the recruiting piece.
It's interesting, Samantha, I was working with a nonprofit yesterday afternoon who is, because of the pandemic, they have started to really embrace the concept of getting board members from across the nation. And what they decided at their last board meeting was that they're going to do all of their meetings remotely so that they can pull in people, and they're pulling in people from both coasts. But what they're going to do is starting in 2022, they're going to designate one of their meetings in a different community where they want everyone to travel to. And it's not going to be, it's going to be more like in the center of the country, so everybody can kind of get there. And they're going to put that cost, if you will, and let the board members will be responsible for it, but that will become almost like their board dues. And they'll estimate, okay, it's going to probably cost you $1,200 a year. We will, pay for this or that, but you'll have to pay for this. And I think it's going to be interesting to see. They're getting some resistance from some of the older board members. But newer board members are very excited about it. So
interesting.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Okay, so now we've got to go on to strategy number 3, recruiting board members virtually. Okay, we've gone through 1 and 2.
Strategy number 3 is to post a board service section on your website. Many of us have that, how to get involved, how to donate, and leadership opportunities, I think, should be front and center on your website, including board service. And this is a way to kind of highlight who your current board members are, but also post a board job description on your website. Put a clear call to action in terms of, when do you recruit? Is it rolling application? If so, who should they contact?
Wow.
If there's a specific time of year that you recruit, what's the deadline? And again, how can they express interest year round, and who on the board or on staff is the point person? Because really, we should be cultivating relationships with those who are engaged with our organization and our mission year round. It's not just a one and done, oh, this is the recruitment season.
Right. Now you've done this, Samantha. So not only are you a rock star at Boardable, right? But you're also, as you shared with us, were a rock star with the National YNPN Board. And so you went through all of these strategies, and I know we're not done. We're at number 3, but you implemented these strategies with the National YNPN Board. And I'm curious, how all of the steps 1, 2, and 3, because I know you've got 2 more to share with us, how that really, just proved successful for the recruitment of the national board.
Oh, sure. Yeah. And I did serve on the board development committee 1 year, so was actually part of the group that was recruiting board members. And so that's why I'm such a champion for have it be a designated group. And that group can really help set up the rest of the board for spreading the word. So I think it worked really well in terms of just, it absolutely was the most amazing board that I've ever served on, and just the board that is the most committed to EDI that I've ever been a part of. And so I think it is having those values clearly identified and being a fabric of what you're doing throughout the year. I don't know if that's answering your question there, but I think we had some things that didn't work. We tried this Twitter chat thing that was not as effective, but just having it be an ongoing conversation and something that all board members can find ways to participate in, I think is really, really essential.
Oh, that's wonderful. And spoiler alert, Samantha is going to connect us with the National YNPN board. So maybe he, she, or they can come in to talk about, how it's been successful. So thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So 1, 2, and 3 were amazing. Love, love, love the actual implementation of this information on the website. You don't see that. I mean, that just like, I can't wait for number 4, because number 3, I could have ended the show right then and there. That's great information. But number 4, what have you got for us?
So leverage social media. Absolutely leverage social media. I will give a shout out to Jared. I think I saw you do this recently. I talked about that job description. Now take that job description for your board and share it. I've seen a lot of organizations do this recently with LinkedIn, where they're posting their board job description on LinkedIn and saying, hey, we're recruiting now for board service. And again, make it kind of very clear in that description, what's the give get? What are those costs associated with being a board member? Where and how, et cetera, do you meet? But put that out there and let folks know that you are recruiting. I love that kind of open door philosophy. I think there are some other cool things to meet your followers where they are. Post on Instagram. Definitely YMPN chapters across the country have done that. They've done some interesting open sessions in terms of a board member interest meeting. You can do that virtual, like a virtual town hall. The Twitter chat I mentioned, we had board members on there. So wasn't that successful, but if you have a great Twitter following, certainly be sharing your board posting on Twitter.
That could have been during a very tumultuous Twitter landscape that maybe people were like, I'm not going on Twitter. I don't know. I'm just guessing it might have been during that time frame when Twitter was,
a little bit harder.
Yeah.
I think the main takeaway is try new things.
Yeah.
Try new things here. Don't go back to you can definitely go back to some of the tried and true things, but this should be a time to experiment and sharing those opportunities far and wide.
When you say try new things, to me, I think that also gives us an opportunity to attract new leaders, new spaces, new communities. Because if we do the same thing, the same way, the same days, right, we're getting the same results. That's kind of the definition of insanity. So what I'm hearing you say, Samantha, is truly, doing these new things may warrant new results.
Absolutely. I think so. And it is a healthy board. This is one thing we really believe at Boardable, that a healthy board is critical to a healthy nonprofit. Yeah. This is a time to look at your tools and the ways that you're doing things. It's a really nice opportunity, I think, to kind of reflect and to shake things up a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I was thinking, Samantha, as you were speaking, this is also going to help you potentially to meet your clients where they are, and I think that's one of the things that we see a lot across, the nonprofit board landscape in America, is that our boards are not reflecting our client base. And so when we have those types of voices and brain power, it doesn't always serve our clients because they're not in alignment with what needs to be going on, in terms of service. So yeah. Amazing.
And Julia, we do have a question. I'm going to read it and then also kind of address what you just said. And Samantha, of course, want you to chime in with your experience. Someone asked, what are your suggestions to persuade boards to recruit non-corporate people? Now, I'm sticking on that word persuade, right? That's clearly, it's been an issue, but I would like the organization to recruit board people who are in different socioeconomic groups, but the board focuses on people in the communities that can be sponsors. So that's our question that we've received from an audience member. Thank you so much for submitting that in. Julia, you were just talking about how, our board makeup doesn't really mirror our communities. That's why I love in FQHC's federally qualified healthcare centers, it is a requirement of them that 51% of their board members are the makeup of the community in which they serve, right? So that could be something that maybe you look at. And I think that's a great best practice model in the FQHC, again, federally qualified healthcare center. Our world loves acronyms, but they have that 51% requirement, if you will, that the board makeup has to be of the constituency base or of the clients in which they serve. But I want to open it up to you, Samantha, if you have anything to add to that response or question that we received.
I am pretty passionate about this. So I do think boards do have a fiduciary responsibility. Absolutely. Fundraising is a part of that in many cases, but that is not the sole responsibility of a board. And good governance requires a diversity of perspectives and a diversity of thought. And so to Julia's point, we know that boards do not represent the communities that they are seeking to serve, and I think that that's a great disservice, actually, that you cannot meet your mission if you do not have a diversity of perspectives on your board. And that's not just there's a funny story that a mentor of mine shared where it's like there's one board that they had all different types of lawyers on the board, and so they thought that was diversity.
Oh my gosh, that visualizes like, I don't know.
Okay, that's fabulous. That's fabulous. Oh my
God. Go ahead, Samantha. I don't want to cut you off.
Well, I would just really say that right now, if you are not thinking about diversity in a wide range of lenses, racial diversity, we do know that there's a major gap in terms of racial diversity on boards, but also, again, disability, gender, industry. I would really encourage your board to start having that conversation.
Right, absolutely.
And I was going to say on top of that, yes, and what I'm hearing from this question is there's a greater issue at hand that's more than the board, right? Like there's a greater issue of diversity that perhaps needs to be addressed within the organization.
Right. We have some diversity assessments on the American Nonprofit Academy that are free. And we've talked about it on the show because, again, it goes well beyond just what we might see in one another. It goes to many, many issues. And there's a wonderful guest we had on who said, the closer to the problem, the closer to the solution. And so when you can find voices that actually know and can speak about being impacted by whatever the cause is, you're going to have stronger leadership. Hard to believe, but our time is almost up. So I want to get to strategy number 5.
And the good news is that it's very tied into everything that we've already talked about. So it's really about sharing broadly with your network and cultivating relationships with new networks. So looking beyond your traditional networks, you can definitely get that email template for your board members to share with folks in their immediate network, but then also be sharing and thinking about what professional associations, affinity groups should you be building relationships with. There's a really amazing article that I definitely recommend white leaders read that was posted through Board Source around recruiting for board diversity without respecting people of color, written by Jim Taylor. And he really speaks to this very, very well in terms of, are you posting with the Hispanic National Bar Association, the National Black Chamber of Commerce? Are you building those relationships not just with your friends of friends, but in the broader community?
Right. And I think that is such wise wisdom, because too often one of the things I see go wrong, and it perpetuates the same makeup of the board, is if I'm moving off the board and then I tap my next person on the shoulder, chances are they are going to look like me, dress like me, think like me, drive the same car as me, and so I see that doing the organization and really the community at large a disservice as well. That could be one opportunity. And I know we see that often in our corporations where maybe they require a C-suite to serve on this board. And so term after term, there is a representative from there, but you don't want all of your board makeup to be taps on the shoulder from their predecessor. So
it's amazing. Okay, so given what you're seeing with Boardable and the pandemic, and then your amazing work with YNPN National Board, just as we kind of end our time together, are you seeing that this is a concept that boards are embracing, or is it just like a totally new concept that they need to look at their boards differently? I mean, what's the tenor? Like, what do you see moving forward?
Oh, I think everybody's in a little bit of a different place. I do think the last year, to a certain extent, made us think differently about how we meet, how we work. I do see a lot of boards having these conversations. I'm encouraged by the idea of what we were talking about earlier, that it's going to be this hybrid model. And that is definitely something that is the trend, and everybody is kind of navigating, like, what's this next phase?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Great information. This has just been fabulous. Could you, before we leave, please repeat the name and the author of the article from Board Source that you mentioned?
We have a viewer that asked
us. Is Recruiting for Board Diversity Without Respecting People of Color. The author is Jim Taylor.
Awesome.
Jim Taylor, and you found that on Board Source.
Correct.
Awesome.
Thank you for that. Awesome. What a great conversation. I mean, I knew it was going to be great months ago, and I think we scheduled you, but talking about this is such a critical time. You know, we started the conversation today saying how too many organizations really hit the pause button and just said, we can't, our hands are tied. We cannot recruit and really work on our development, but all of these 5 strategies you've shared, Samantha, are truly enlightening and uplifting for all of us to take action. So thank you.
It's been a pleasure. I look forward to following the show, and thanks for having us. And yeah, definitely for folks who are interested, check out Boardable. A board portal is a part of everything that we talked about today, in terms of really just continuing to engage those new board members once you get them.
I love it. Here's Samantha's information and boardable.com. You can learn more and more about what's going on. Really briefly, in the few minutes we have left, can you share with us the Spotlight product that you just released?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So Boardable is a board meeting and board management software, and we just released Spotlight, which is our meeting platform. It is inclusive of a video conferencing tool embedded in the platform, and it really allows for that one screen experience, so you can all stay on the same page, whether you have people calling in, whether some are in person, or you're continuing fully virtual. It's great for that hybrid experience. You can see the agenda side by side with your meeting participants, click live on links, and really all stay on the purpose of the meeting rather than worrying about the logistics of where and how and when.
Jeb Banner, your CEO, talked to us about that almost a year ago in the Chitty Chat. And I was like, it's never going to happen. It was like so sci-fi. I mean, it was like, yeah, in a perfect world. And it's
meanwhile, his dog flew to space, right?
That's right. And so I should guess only Jeb Banner could pull this off. Well, it's really exciting, and we're super proud of you because we think this is a game changer in board efficiency, and gosh, I can't wait to talk with organizations that have used it. It's really exciting. Wow, another great episode of the Nonprofit Show. I'm Julia Patrick, been joined today by my intrepid co-host, the nonprofit nerd herself, Jarrett Ransom. Again, we want to thank our presenting sponsors. Without you, we would not be here having this robust discussion. And board service is where it's at, baby. If you don't have good boards, pretty tough to do a lot of other things. So Samantha, we are super honored that you would take so much time and give it to us and help us delve into some of these things. Again, another great episode. Join us back here tomorrow. We have our Friday recap, ask and answer episode, which is always a lot of fun. A lot of great questions that have come in this week. And so we hope to see you tomorrow on the Ask and Answered episode. As we end every episode, we like to remind you to stay well so you can do well. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.